Hello everyone, Logan from Curated Avalon, and today I will be discussing my most used fountain pen inks for 2024. I had quite a few favorites, new inks that I discovered throughout the year that I was quite fond of, but there were a few that I found myself just re-inking over and over again, even if the attributes didn't make sense to me or maybe it wasn't a favorite color. I just kept returning to these inks, and so they can be undeniably my favorites for 2024. To start off with, I have Noodler's Ink Dark Matter. Now, I know this is my favorite ink year to year. I have not yet found a replacement. Some have come close. Bad Black Moccasin, I will alternate between sometimes with Dark Matter and Noodler's Ink, the Bad Black Moccasin. I do really love that ink. It's just a little bit more of a gel texture to the Bad Black Moccasin for me, and I like that a lot, especially in certain pens. But there's just something about Dark Matter as it's hitting the paper when I'm writing that just, I don't know, it's a connection for me. And I do have probably my most used fountain pen for 2024 as well. This pen tends to be the winner year after year, and it's been through it. It has had incredibly things dropped, heavy things dropped on this pen. It has been dropped itself, and it comes through like an absolute trooper. I love this pen. Really feel like I need to have several just as backups waiting in the wings in case I absolutely destroy this. So this does have a medium nib. It writes a little fat in my opinion, which I love. I was just a little surprised by it when I bought it because I'd been told those nibs tend to run a little bit more skinny. Japanese nibs tend to be skinnier than German nibs. But nevertheless, it is pretty much my favorite pen when it comes to writing. And I did not want to love the vanishing point. I love the aesthetic and function of capped pens. But you just can't beat the functionality of a capless. My second most used ink was definitely Diamine's Writer's Blood. This is my favorite red. It's the one I come back to over and over again when I was trying to find my favorite red a few years ago that I mainly wanted for like editing already written material. You know, strike through lines, notes, and such. I think I was going between like Shaw's Rose or Oxblood. There were a couple of different reds I was going back and forth, and I'm like, I just need something that's in between. And I just couldn't find it. And then next month, Writer's Blood release, and I thought, wow, how timely was that? I didn't even order a sample. I ordered an entire bottle. I was that confident that this would be my red. And I do alternate between different fountain pens for this ink, but as a rule, it does stay in my Lamy White Silver. That's an all-star. And this should be a medium. Yes, medium nib. And it writes like a medium. There. Some dried bits of ink from the cap. And I am using my Onion Skin journal, which really was the all-star for me in 2024. I used more Onion Skin products overall than I have in the past few years. So I use the notepad that has the tearaway paper, one of my absolute favorite things. And I used more of their journals last year too. I ordered when they had a sale. I had like the extra large, and this I think is their large size with the hardcover. I just really enjoy the paper. I don't know, just I really embraced this style and this feel. The aesthetic was just, it's gorgeous. I love the way the ink shows up. My only like thing about it is I do prefer whiter paper overall. I think it would be a crime to make this paper whiter because that crinkly aesthetic just leans more towards a natural, and I think it's gorgeous. Really enjoyed this. And I have 3 inks here that were all new to me for last year. I bought when I was on vacation. I have the Graf von Faber-Castell in Cobalt Blue, the Rishizuku in Momiji, and the J Urbain Rouge Hematite. So all 3 of these I tried over vacation, which actually wasn't that long ago. I guess it's been about 5 or getting close to 6 months. And I kept refilling my pens with these. So more specifically, the Cobalt Blue got used the most, Rouge Hematite was next, and the Momiji I returned to several times. I really did love it. I was looking for a really nice red that didn't have shimmer. For whatever reason, I was unaware that this one did have a shimmer, but it was the color I was looking for, and so used it anyway. But the Cobalt Blue, oh my goodness, couldn't get rid of this one. I loved it. And that brings me to a pen that was new for me last year. This was my Leonardo Fiore purchase when I was on vacation. I bought the ink to match the pen. It ended up being not only a perfect match, but ink that I really ended up enjoying. And I've used several different inks in this pen, but I keep going back to putting this one in there. I like it when inks match their pens. It's an easy visual aid. It's like a blue pen, blue ink. And this was the Galaxy Blue, which at the time I didn't know this. Apparently it's quite difficult to find this color. But oh my goodness, the Leonardo pens, they're just so stunning. They come out with gorgeous colors. And when they say you will fall in love with the way it writes pretty much immediately, they are absolutely correct. That's how I ended up buying pens. On vacation, I had no intention to. And was in a pen lover's paradise in Virginia Beach and happened to try those pens. I was like, oh, you know, I have people asking me to try the Leonardos and see what I think because, I don't know, I don't tend to lean towards Italian pens. I'll try them, see what you think. And I made that lovely mistake going, oh, I'll just try it. One stroke on the paper and I went, oh yes, this is leaving with me. So this is a medium nib. And next will be the Rouge Hematite. This I bought. I wanted a red ink so badly. I had my, writer's blood, loved it. I wanted something bright red that just looked aggressive. And that's the mood I was in. It was just something fun I wanted to try. And I'm like, okay, I need something that's bright red. And I mean, the owner would have let me looked at the inks and kind of go through to see if I could find the pigment I wanted, but I just went with my gut and I grabbed this one and was pretty confident it was what I was looking for, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I also picked up the Momiji just in case. Also ended up loving it, but this was definitely my mood. And I like the shimmer. It's really pretty. I was just looking for a red ink to put in this pen when I bought it specifically, something that was bright. And since it was a fine nib, I wasn't really looking for a shimmer ink to put in it. It was definitely looking for something without it, but it worked. It works just fine. I've never had it clog that pen, and I keep putting it back in there. And I love how pretty the bottle is. So this does have a fine nib. I do like how the Memento Magicos have the ink window. It's quite handy. I've never been much for demonstrator pens. Like, I think I want them, I get them, and they just tend to be my least used pens, but I like having the little ink window. So I'm just going to let this page dry and I'll come back to show the rest of the inks. So these have been drying for probably 20 minutes, and I'm just going to put a piece of paper in between. And move on to the next ink. So the Irishizuku Momiji, I ended up refilling my pens with this several times. I really liked it, but I did alternate between this and the Hematite Rouge. So I don't think I really ever had the same ones inked up at the same time for these two. It was just an either or, whatever mood I was in. It's a lovely pink. Actually reminded me so much of the Wearing Ghoul, the Pride and Prejudice, which is what I was using before. You know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and swap that because I did use this quite a bit until I got that one. Wow, that is on there tight. Really good seal on that bottle. And this, if I remember, was a little more purple, but the intensity was so similar. So yeah, between this guy, that guy, I alternated between those three kind of pinks, reds over the year. It was really fun. My best friend gave me that one last year for Christmas. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm actually not going to ink either one of these into a pen. And I'm not gonna lie, I have to look at the spelling of Irishizuku to get this right. Should it be easier for me to know? Probably, but you know, that's where we're at. As many times as I used it, I really should probably remember by now. So we have that one, that's the Momiji, and then the Pride and Prejudice. Wearing Ghoul. I was actually watching Pride and Prejudice today, and before you ask which version, I was watching both of the more modern versions. I was watching the end of the Colin Firth miniseries, and then couldn't let it go and started watching the Keira Knightley version, the movie. So moving on to my other most used inks for 2024, of course, Rome Burning is going to be on that list. It is now called Rome. This is a Noodler's ink. The label will be different. And I use it in my Thomas Jefferson pen from Relic Pens. And as a matter of fact, this is actually quite sad, but I broke my other pen that I got from him just the other day. So I've had both of these pens for a while, and I just dropped this one. I mean, it wasn't really even that much of a drop, but it fell, it hit the hardwood floor, and the threads did break. So I need to give Patrick a buzz and see if he can fix my pen for me. Hopefully he'll have time. Kind of miss it. But yeah, that one is broken. That's the first fountain pen that I've just actually broke. But I still have this one. I use this one the most. I keep the Rome Burning ink in this all the time, and you can see it does have the yellow and it has the purple, and I don't know why, but it likes to separate this way. The threads tend to stay yellow, and then the end of the crypt section tends to stay purple. Kind of crazy. I guess I'll swap it first. I'm like, I can write it down, it'll be fine, but so for this ink, it's not just the color that I love, it's the flow. I don't care what pen I put it in, it just flows beautifully. I love the way it feels writing on paper. And by the way, this is one of my favorite nibs I've ever used. I love this one. It's just so incredibly smooth. Should be a medium. Yeah, I just have Thomas Jefferson's signature. It does say Monticello, and this piece of wood was from one of the trees outside of the house. And up next, I have one of my most used Ferris wheel press inks, which was Atlas Iron Ore. This kind of replaced Roaring Patina Black for me. So I still have some Roaring Patina Black, but oh my goodness, I hoard that ink at this point, which is terrible. Inks should be used. But I mean, I actually asked for this, essentially, a black Ferris wheel press ink that had like the silver shimmer instead of the gold. This is kind of what that is, but I love it. I do use it. I don't know, something about that Roaring Patina Black with the layers it had in it was just incredible, and I loved it. I will be using my Sailor Pro Gear. This is the Stellar Black Hole, aka Captain Kirk pen. So as I'm going along with this, I'm realizing that not only are these my most used inks, but these are my most used pens as well. So I'm inking these with the inks that I used in them pretty much all year. This pen, I keep a shimmer ink in it because it has the zoom nib. It shows off shimmer inks very well. I think it's just because this is a little bit more gray that I don't like it quite as much, because I really want like a real deep black, which Roaring Patina Black wasn't even like really a black. If you looked at it, especially the hue layers and everything, it really was just an insanely dark blue. But I would like it to be a little bit more black. And my other most used ink was another one from Noodler's Ink. This is Bad Black Moccasin. So this is my other favorite black. I also love was it Forevermore? The Raven Black ink. Oh my goodness. It's just not available anymore, but I love that black ink. It has this incredible iridescence to it. But I didn't include that one because it's not currently available, and because of that fact, I didn't use it as much last year. I was kind of hoarding it. But it's definitely an ink that would be in my like everyday rotation. This is my Kilk Camera Laterna fountain pen. I love this pen. It has a beautiful body, sterling silver accents. Very comfortable to write with. Probably should have put this one on the next page. It's a really great black. And with this ink, it's very, very permanent. The Warden's Ink series resists the tools of forgers and is bulletproof, pH neutral, water-based, and resists UV light. Be kind to catfish. They help make the fountain pen competitive. So any of the bad inks, like the names that start with bad, like Bad Black Moccasin, are some of the most permanent inks probably on the planet. That's why it says lifetime sentence and the Warden's Ink. Show it off a little bit more. It has a really great flow. Excuse me. And it, I don't know, in my Vanishing Point and other pens I've tried, it tends to have more of a gel appearance, and I really love that. But really great black ink. I'm gonna let that page dry a little bit, and I have one more ink left. So I've left these drying. Moving on to the next page. I have one last ink, and this is from Ferris Wheel Press. So I had a lot of favorites from Ferris Wheel Press last year, but they kind of came in later in the season. So like the Age of Arum and Ambrosia Indulgence. Love those two. I tried a bunch of golds back around Halloween. Loved them. I just felt like they're gonna be more 2025 favorites because they came in later in the season. They didn't get used quite as much. So this one I used quite a bit, and just kind of for fun. And in my Benu Vodka Euphoria, Vodka on the Rocks in my Euphoria. I love this pen. So yes, my Captain Kirk pen and the Vodka on the Rocks, for the most part, they just stay filled with a shimmer ink of some kind. pretty much all the time. And reason for that being the Vodka on the Rocks pen. This is a broad nib pen. So it shows off the shimmer very well. And I tend to use my Vodka on the Rocks and Captain Kirk pen more for letter writing, note taking, that kind of thing. And I enjoy the shimmer inks for that. But Tumultuous Tides, I just thought it was so stunning. I love this ink. And on Ferris Wheel Press, they're just constantly releasing new gorgeous inks, especially shimmer inks. And it can be a little difficult to keep up, but there's definitely something for everyone. So Ferris Wheel Press. Got my hand jammed up here. Tumultuous Tides. Yeah, every time I use this, I really do think of like The Little Mermaid. So that is going to be the last of my inks, and for the most part, those are my stellar pens for the past year. I do have other favorites, other ones that get used quite a lot, but over the past 6 months especially, I use these pretty much the most. So thank you so much for watching. I think really quick, I might just swab the two blacks next to each other if you want to stick around for that. I get asked quite often the differences between the favorite blacks that I enjoy. I do have some other videos to that effect, but why not just go ahead? So we have Bad Black Moccasin. And Dark Matter. So it's really interesting. I always think that Bad Black Moccasin actually shows up darker when I'm writing with it than Dark Matter. I don't know if it's just the consistency flow in the pen. I have no idea. But I find it really interesting because I think Dark Matter looks blacker, but it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe a little bit more of a green blue, maybe the tiniest bit of brown in the background. I don't know. Down here. I mean, seeing them side by side, I still think the Dark Matter looks blacker. But for whatever reason, when I'm just like writing and I don't have them side by side, that one tricks my brain into thinking it's blacker. So anyway, the difference is there. A little bit more blue-gray, I guess. So these were my stellar inks for 2024, and I am definitely taking these into 2025. I can't wait to see what else I might discover through the year, But for now, I'm not ready to let these go yet. I'd love to hear in the comments below what were your favorites for 2024 and what is it you are still using, taking with you for the next year. Thank you so much for watching.